Where to find voiceover opportunities in each genre. Part 1. This topic came about because of our admin, Cadden. Heidi and I wanted to understand the most challenging part of his voiceover career at this stage. His answer? Figuring out where to get opportunities in each voiceover genre. And we thought it was such a relatable topic that we wanted to share this with you. But once we dove into it, we realized, okay, this would be one long video or email newsletter, so we're going to have to break it up. There's a lot of great stuff. So each week, we'll break down where you get the opportunities, how to find them or how to get on a roster, and who, what role or position do you have to market to. And each week, we'll do 4 different VO genres. Today, we're focusing on e-learning, museum tours, radio imaging, and toys. Before we get started though, if you struggle to create plans on how to contact agents or potential clients, Heidi and I created the Business Branding and Marketing course to help you do just that. And for the rest of July, it's 10% off. I'll link everything in the notes so you can check it out and see if you're interested. So let's get to it. The first voiceover genre, e-learning. The where, listing the top places to get e-learning opportunities, numbered by quantity of opportunities. Number 1, internal company rosters. 2, agents. And 3, online casting sites. Every now and then you'll get e-learning opportunities from agents or online casting sites, but for the most part, it comes from company rosters. So now we look to the how. The best way to find e-learning companies? Search on LinkedIn. Heidi reached out to an e-learning contact that she has who works at an actual company just to see if there were any hidden terms that we need to look out for. She said if you simply search for e-learning company, you should be able to find them. The cool thing about this is once you book something with one of these companies, it can turn into repeat work. They'll hire you again and again, maybe for new projects, but definitely for the updates. Now the who. When you're searching for e-learning companies, make sure to find the project manager. That's the person who's most often over-hiring voiceover talent, or at least sending out the auditions. Voiceover genre number 2, museum tours. Where? Listing the top places to get museum tour opportunities. Online casting sites. John Marshall Media, previously Lantern here in Atlanta, does museum tours. So if you're on their roster, you could get opportunities that way. Most museums create their own audio tours, so online casting sites are the best resource. There are some international companies out there who specialize in museum tours, but of course that would be for people with non-American accents. If you want to check that out, it's the Orfeo Group. Next up, the how. We've seen museums or audio tour auditions pop up on online casting sites. However, if that's something that you're interested in, go the self-marketing route. Just searching on LinkedIn for a few minutes, you're going to find a few companies and at least a few people that you can market to. One such company is AcoustiGuide, and you can check them out at acoustiguide.com. And if you're bilingual or you speak many languages, make sure you put that in the subject line or at least in the beginning of your pitch when you contact them. Now the who. For audio tours, you're going to want to look for the producer. Smaller museums or tours may keep things in-house, so if you want to market to them, look for the program director. Third genre, radio imaging. Where? This is listing the top places to get radio imaging opportunities, numbered by quantity of opportunities. Number 1, agents, specifically Haas Management, The Mix Group, Atlas, Coat Management, ACM Talent, and Benstown. Number 2, individual radio stations. Now the how. Outside of agents, self-marketing to rosters or individual radio stations would be the way to go. So start with your local radio station. Who to market to? Primarily, you're going to want to connect with a program director. If the station's big enough, they should have an imaging director. There's also a production director or an operations manager. And if it's a really small radio station, you might even talk to the general manager, the GM. Heidi and I knew that from way back in the day in our radio days, but want to give a shout out to SCHNEIDER, who is an actual radio imaging guru. He also leads radio imaging workshops with us at the Atlanta Voiceover Studio, and he also teaches our Learn Pro Tools class at provoiceovertraining.com, so check that out if you need it. But with regards to radio imaging, before you contact a radio station and reach out, you will need a radio imaging demo. And bringing up Adam again, he also coaches radio imaging and he also does demos, and he's fantastic at it. Why? He's been at it for decades, not only voicing, but also producing for radio stations. I'll put all his information in the description if you want to either take a radio imaging workshop, private coaching, or learn Pro Tools. Think radio imaging might be up your alley? It is a cool genre and can be very lucrative. And finally, VO genre number 4 for today, toys. Where in the world do you get these opportunities? Well, here are the top places to get toy voiceover opportunities, numbered by quantity of opportunities. 1. Agents. Heidi actually reached out to the talent coordinator at Mattel, and according to him, they mainly work with agents. But They have actually hired from direct contact or word of mouth, which is great news in case you don't have an agent. They also keep in mind talent who have ranked highly on a project but just haven't booked yet. Now the how. Even though the majority of talent get booked through agents, it is never a bad idea to create relationships with those involved in these projects. The people who are hiring voice talent for these toys. Just a few seconds, I've got some titles for you to search for to help you. Now the who. Our contact at Mattel said the role that you want to look for is the talent coordinator, at least at Mattel. Now, Mattel's a big company, so smaller companies might not have the same title or specific role dedicated like that. You may also want to connect with any sound design engineer, creative director, or producer. Remember, you never know who you're going to run into who has contacts that you need. But don't do it just to use them. Do it to make a genuine connection, like always. Now, with all the voiceover genres that we mentioned, there are exceptions to the rule. However, what we just went over is where the majority of the opportunities come from. And just like gardening, you could throw some seeds to the side of the road and then hope that something sprouts, or you could focus on putting seeds in actual soil that you know will most likely sprout. Same thing with voiceover and reaching out to people. That's where to find voiceover opportunities, part 1. Part 2 is coming up in a week, and it's power-packed with even more info for you. So if you like this video and you think that it could help you in your voiceover career, please give us a like, share it with another talent you think may benefit from it, and subscribe. It's a simple, no-cost way to help us out, and I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and cheers to you and your voiceover journey. And voiceover opportunities in each genre, part 2. Here's part 2 of the original challenge posted by our admin and fellow voiceover talent, Cadden. He said one of the biggest challenges he's facing right now in his journey is where to find voiceover opportunities in each genre, how to find them, and then who to search for or market to. Now, part 1 was last week, and we focused on
e-learning, museum tours, toys, and radio imaging.
So after this video is over, go ahead and check part 1 out. You're not going to be disappointed. There's a lot of great information in there. Today, we're focusing on audiobooks, dubbing, in-show narration, and everyone's favorite, video games. Considering everything that I'm sharing in this video, this is a good time to mention our business branding and marketing workshop. If it's a struggle for you to even think about creating a plan to reach out to clients, potential clients, or agents, Heidi and I created the business branding and marketing course to help you out. And right now I've got a coupon code to save you some money. I'll link it in the notes. So let's kick off part 2 with audiobooks. Where do you find opportunities for audiobooks? Audiobook production companies. Have you heard of a few? You might recognize these: Penguin Random House, Ahab, ACX, John Marshall Media, which is local to Atlanta, ProAudioVoices.com, under no contract, no work order from SAG, Audiobook Network. And that's not all. Every now and then you could also get auditions for audiobooks through agents or managers or even online casting sites or pay-to-plays. So how do you find these opportunities? The best way to start auditioning for audiobook opportunities is to join the various production company platforms. Ahab Talent for Penguin Random House, ACX.com for, you guessed it, ACX, and John Marshall Media uses rollcall.co. There are some other sites like ProAudioVoices.com, but it's under a no contract, no work order from SAG. AudiobookNetwork.com is another site. However, the rates aren't that great, and they pay by word count. You can also go to online casting sites to find audiobook work, but as a caveat, I would suggest only doing this if you're starting out. And that's because the rates aren't always in line with industry standards. As soon as you figure out that you know what you're doing, you need to get those rates up to where they should be and not settle for less. And you know, something that isn't often considered, but there have been talent who've booked audiobook jobs simply by making connections. They just happened to know someone who wrote a book and asked if they could narrate it, or they knew someone who knew someone. It still happens. Erin Spencer has led audiobook workshops right here at the Atlanta Voiceover Studio over the years, and she also directs audiobook demos for us. Now, she is not only a successful audiobook narrator herself, but she also owns an audiobook production house. Now, taking workshops from people like Erin doesn't guarantee work, but it does allow you to create a relationship with someone in that part of the industry and a chance to show your skill. Recently, Heidi had the opportunity to interview Penguin Random House casting director Julie Wilson, and she gave a slew of information on there. So if you're interested in audiobooks, make sure you check out that podcast. I'll link it in the show notes. Another great resource to find and connect with people who hire narrators: the APA, or Audio Publishers Association. They have an annual conference called APAC, APAC, and you can find all the major producers there. It's a thing, and that tidbit is according to Julie Wilson, who also mentioned that she goes to writers' conferences to find self-published authors. Moving on to who to search for. The main roles in audiobooks who hire talent are audiobook producers, self-published authors, and casting directors for audiobook production houses. Now, if narrating audiobooks is of interest to you, we've got the perfect class for you. Kurt Bonham is one of our instructors here at the Atlanta Voiceover Studio and ProVoiceoverTraining.com, and he has a 5-week class that is fantastic. I'll link it in the notes. Moving on to dubbing, where to find opportunities. In-house casting directors. How to find them. Lots of dubbing studios have in-house casting directors and or maintain their own talent roster. To find these studios, simply search for dubbing studios. Who to search for or market to. The role or position you need to search for is dubbing director or even dubbing producer. Connecting with them is a great way to network and also a good way to get on their radar for auditions and castings. We've teamed up with Jessica Blue, who's led our dubbing workshops here at the Atlanta Voiceover Studio, and this is what she has to say. Another method to find out who those contacts are is to look at the end credits on English dubs. For example, Netflix always includes credits for the production team that did each language dub after the main credits. So check out the English credits and you might see some familiar names of people and studios. That is a pro tip. Jessica's got an upcoming dubbing workshop. If you're interested, I'll link it in the notes. Our third genre in part 2 of where to find job opportunities, in-show narration. Where? Agents. But every once in a while, opportunities will pop up on online casting sites, or even through relationships. There was a show that was in the pitch phase that Heidi actually worked on, and she got the opportunity through a studio that she had previously done some voiceover work for. Now the how to find them. Well, they mostly come through agents, but if you want to self-market, you would simply look up production companies. And that's because sometimes production companies create shows and then sell them to the networks and platforms. So when you search online for production companies, look at what shows they've previously produced. That would tell you if they have shows that need in-show narration. Okay, in-show narration. Who to search for, who to market to. Most of the time, the creative director is the one that you would search for because they're in charge of choosing which voice to use. However, it's a great thing to create a relationship with the producer. They're often tasked with finding voiceover talent to present. Our fourth genre in part 2 of where to find voiceover opportunities in each genre, video games. Where do you find the opportunities? Most of the time, it's going to be through agents. How? Well, oftentimes it'll come through the agents, but there are certain agents that get video game opportunities and others that don't. Here in Atlanta, the main voiceover talent agencies are going to get voiceover auditions because Hi-Res Studios is right here in Atlanta. They're local. There are a lot of video game companies in Texas, and you'll more than likely get a good amount of video game auditions from agents in LA and New York. Of course, more than likely, since this is on YouTube, you weren't able to attend our Give and Learn. It's our end-of-the-year charity to benefit the Atlanta Community Food Bank. But we usually get a panel of either producers, casting, talent to answer any and all questions for people who show up. You could do a search on our YouTube channel. Just type in Give and Learn and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about, as well as our guests that we had. But in December 2023, we had Hi-Res Studios audio director Andrea Chang. She was one of our panelists. We also had her on the podcast, so if you missed both of those, I'll link it in the notes. She gave a lot of great information regarding video games, so check it out. And finally, in video games, who to market to, who to search for. Well, it's best to simply go through an agent, and if you don't have an agent and you want to know how to get an agent, check out our agent rep prep class. But if you're wanting to create a relationship with someone in the video game industry who works with voiceover talent, you would look for the audio director. It's also great to stay up to date with what's going on with various video game companies. If you follow them on LinkedIn, just click the bell icon. That way you'll be alerted if there's any new news happening with them. There's also a great organization right here in Georgia called the Georgia Game Developers Organization, and they put out a fantastic newsletter to keep you up to date. Want to learn more about video games? Well, check out our class that covers video games and animation with Ariana Ratner. Yes, I'll link it. All right, that's it for part 2, where to find voiceover opportunities in each genre. We're going to have part 3. That's going to be a good one, but it's going to be a couple weeks. So if you haven't subscribed to us yet, hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified when it comes out. And if you haven't already, please give this video a like. Show me some validation. Please. Seriously, if you do like the video, give it a like. And if you know somebody who could benefit from it, forward it to them. I appreciate you watching. The Atlanta Voiceover Studio and ProVoiceoverTraining.com exists to help equip, elevate, and inspire you in your voiceover journey. Cheers to your success. Voiceover opportunities in each genre, part 3. To set the stage, it was a challenge posted by our admin and fellow voiceover talent, Cadden. He said at this stage in his career, he's having trouble finding work in each of the genres. Or rather, the biggest challenge that he's facing is where to find the opportunities, how to find the work, and who to search for to market to. So we figured, we're helping him, Let's help you too. So if you haven't seen part 1 or part 2, I'll link it in the notes so you can go back and watch that. Definitely worth it. Part 1, we focused on e-learning, museum tours, radio imaging, and toys. Part 2, just a couple weeks ago, on audiobooks, dubbing, in-show narration, and everyone's favorite, video games. And in this one, we're all about the animation, commercials, IVR, and promo. So let's get to it. Ready to go? Here we go. Animation. Where do you find those opportunities? Agents. Now, there may be some outliers, but the majority of opportunities that come through animation are coming through agents, especially the big projects. Now, Heidi and I have heard directly from Disney casting directors say that they attend stand-up comedy shows, improv performances, and theatrical productions just to scout for new talent, which is a great reminder that we should all be working on different areas in the creative fields just to keep our skills sharpened. And now, due to technology advancements and the ease in which you can create animation, you may actually be able to find independent projects via online casting sites or by word of mouth. Now, how to find them? While there are agents in Atlanta and other regions that can bring you opportunities, you will get more animation opportunities from LA and New York agents. Question perked up, do you need an animation demo? Well, it definitely would be helpful, but it's not necessarily always required. It's definitely helpful to showcase your talent if you have one. It just highlights your range of characters, and that's to get you in the door. But agents, once you get on board, they'll start sending you auditions, which is a great reminder that we need to continue to train to stay on top of our game, just for when those opportunities arise. Back to the demo. Needing one, that may be changing. But when it comes to agents, if you have a solid commercial demo and you could just let them know that you're actually training in animation, they may still send you opportunities. Now, who to search for or market to? Most large animation studios have in-house or freelance casting directors, and most of those casting directors exclusively use agents. They will occasionally look for talent elsewhere, like Disney's casting directors, but the best way to get to them is through an agent. And unless you have a really unique accent or voice that stands out, animation is pretty competitive. So the best way to book an animation job is to be on with a great agent. Create relationships with any casting directors if they do any workouts or whatnot, along with agents. And this should go without saying, continue to train. I haven't used this analogy in a while, but if you think of our craft like professional sports, professional players at the top of their game, they still continue to train. Should we do any different? Invest in yourself. Get training, whether it's here or elsewhere. And on that tip, if you'd like to train in animation or video games, check out our animation and video game class with Ariana Ratner. I'll put the link in the notes. Next up, commercials. Where do you find opportunities? Number 1, agents. Number 2, studio rosters. And 3, online casting sites. Now, when I say studio rosters, I mean recording studios like Atlanta Voiceover Studio will have voiceover talent rosters. And when they get clients and get auditions, they send it out to their roster. If you've signed up for our email newsletter, there's a link in there that you can click. I'll link that in the notes. When it comes to studio rosters, don't expect a heavy quantity, but the more rosters you can get onto throughout the country, the better. We found that these opportunities tend to pop up at just the right times. And the best way that we found to tackle studio rosters is to simply start in one geographical location. Search city recording or voiceover studios, and then you can input the city. And once they pop up, make sure you check their websites. Often, if they do have a roster, they'll have a form to fill out or give instructions on how to submit. When it comes to online casting sites, those are pretty straightforward. You pay a yearly fee, you get auditions. The top sites are Voice123, and if you do decide you want to join Voice123, I've got a 15% off link in the notes for you. Voices.com is another platform, though there are some caveats that come with that one. And Bidalgo.com, that's a solid online platform. Now, there are a bunch of other online platforms. Anyone that you get on, you simply have to watch the rates. And if you're non-union, go by the GVAA rate guide. You don't want to do voiceover for $5 a holler. Know your worth. Know your rates. Now, who to market or search for? When connecting with people in charge of hiring talent for commercials, you need to search for creative directors or producers. Sometimes, for smaller companies, someone from the marketing department may be in charge of hiring voiceover talent for projects. There are also production companies that will directly hire talent, and most of the time these are small to mid-sized production companies. And like I was saying earlier, whether you're trying to get agents or you're trying to get clients, you need to hone your craft. So if you're trying to figure out your real authentic you when you try to audition or get into sessions and just don't feel like you have it yet, we've got a great class for that, as well as a workout. It's Steve Henderson's Character of You class. And once you go through that, you could go through the Character of You workout, which is simply just a one-off, just to stay sharp. It's a great class to take in case you're simply not feeling like you're bringing your authentic self to any audition. It's one of our most popular classes, and it helps you bring the real you to every audition and session. I'll link it in the notes. Third on the list today, IVR. Where do you find IVR opportunities? Online casting sites and company rosters. Now, when it comes to Heidi, most of the IVR she's booked has come through word of mouth. She's also done IVR for Redfin because she's done a bunch of their commercials.
We built the Redfin app to help you win, with every detail designed to get you into your dream home fast.
For me, because I'm the voice of Warby Parker,
We started Warby Parker to make glasses more affordable.
and they've used me on so many commercials over the years, they decided to remain consistent and bring me on board for IVR as well. Love working with that company. Now, we've had other IVR jobs, but those have mostly come through agents, and typically because we've done commercials. So now, how do you get those IVR opportunities? If you want to search for IVR companies, what you're going to look for is On Hold Marketing, Interactive Voice Response Production Company, or IVR Production Company. The most efficient way to look for the person who hires voiceover talent for these types of opportunities is to simply look on LinkedIn. Look up the company on LinkedIn, and once you do, hit that scroll button and look through the employees. Sometimes the role can be as straightforward as voice manager. Oh, and as you're doing all this, I know I probably don't have to tell you, but it's a great thing to keep a spreadsheet of all the information that you find. And finally, our fourth genre today, promo. Where do you find promo opportunities? Agents. Between Heidi and I, we've only heard of one person who's actually booked a decent promo gig through online casting sites, but that was 7 years ago. So I'm not saying it couldn't happen. Lightning can always strike. But when it comes to the good thing of booking things, I don't want to wait for that lightning strike. We're not saying it couldn't happen, but most TV, promo, and movie trailers
In a world.
In a world. World. In a world.
In a world.
In a world. Well,
are going to be booked through agents exclusively. However, like anything, there's always a caveat. That's not to say taking workshops with promo or movie trailer casting directors couldn't help. And if you're a standout talent, they may refer you to an agent. That's the cool thing about this. You never know what's going to happen. And don't think that it's always going to be bad. You never know when something good is going to happen in your life, especially in voiceover. So I hope you walk away from these 3-part videos just feeling empowered about your voiceover career. There is still a lot of opportunity in voiceover, but quite honestly, real talk,
You can't be lazy.
this is a business. Get your business hat on. Do the work. Yes, you got to train, but you also have to work on the business side. Sometimes it does take a little work to find it, but it's out there. So take that step. Move forward one step at a time. I'll have everything linked in the notes, and if you need me, I'm always here. Feel free to reach out. Atlanta Voiceover Studio and ProVoiceOverTraining.com exists to equip, elevate, and inspire you in your voiceover journey. Our goal is to bring you the resources you need to create the voiceover career you want. Cheers to your voiceover success.